All right, and welcome to Prologue session number 4 for Moon's Remorse. And in this session, we'll be introducing. Jody, I'm getting some feedback from you. I think you're on not push to talk. All right, and welcome to Prologue session number 4 for. Did you get that fixed? Sorry. Anyway, like I was saying, the fourth session we'll be introducing the fourth character, which is a gnome wizard named Fomsy Dimsbest. And he is an archaeologist who is also a member of the Association of Tall Gnome Marine. And he has a very strong history and presence in the association, and is known as something of a historical dynamo who quests for things that have been lost, and specializes specifically in kind of elvish and draconic things. He has been sent out by the association with a detachment to excavate a site that has elvish ruins set underneath old human ruins, and they have done quite a bit of work on the excavation process, but now have come to a point where the workers are not willing to continue in because the elvish ruins beneath, it is assuredly so that there are traps and possibly defenders or guardians of those ruins. So it's up to Perdix and Fomsy Dimsbest to question and deal with that matter. You've been in these ruins for a while, and you would know that there is basically a cavity in the earth, and down below there are a series of doors that have been found. Only one door seems to be something that will function, isn't caved in. If you want, go ahead and discuss a little bit about your character, or ask any questions about the site that you may not know.
He is a gnome wizard. He's actually been through, he's one of the conglomerate, and he is an archaeologist. He's here to go through and basically make the passage safe for the rest of the people.
Okay. The specific door I mentioned has very old elvish writing on it, but it doesn't seem to have any means of opening it. This has puzzled a couple of the people who are excavating the site, a couple of the scholars in mind. But that said, Perdix is with you. He is a 7-foot tall Undaunted. And for those who are not terribly familiar with this setting, Undaunted are very similar to Warforged generation, except that the reason for their generation wasn't to fight in war. Undaunted have a number of reasons why they have been created, but not all of them were built for destruction. That said, he looks to you, Fomsy, and says, "I do not know what we should do here. The writing is very elusive, and I do not understand it. It is Elvish, but it appears to be gibberish."
I'm going to go ahead and see if we can look around, see if we can find any openings or anything that might switches, levers, or anything like that.
Okay. Go ahead and make me an investigation check.
Is that with advantage or disadvantage?
Just
normal? 9.
Okay, you're not finding any levers or mechanisms or anything, but the thing that's screaming to you, based on your white gnome heritage, you would know that this appears to be magical. There appears to be some sort of magic here, and you're pretty sure it has something to do with this strange writing. You're not sure if it's magical writing or not.
And you said, can I read the writing? Or you said it was in Elvish?
It is in Elvish, but basically To Perdix, who is not very familiar with the Elvish language, and you would know that, he may not understand the nuances or what it might mean or what it could be. And looking at it and reading it, you read it says, "When new, she can't be seen at all, but she grows with each night's fall. And as she looms over the wall, hark and hear the lone wolf's call."
And you said look around the room. I can't really see anything else. There's nothing
There's
really.
not so much a room as you're in an open space that a lot of the Basriel human fortification was built up on. You've torn away the floor effectively and kind of dug yourself into this place to find this door. So you're kind of in a ripped apart basement effectively. There are other doors like this one, but the other doors appear to be kind of broken, or you can tell that there's a door behind a lot of rubble.
When new, she can't be seen at all, but she grows with each night's fall. And as she looms over the wall, hark and hear the lone wolf's call.
As you say it aloud in common, Perdix kind of looks to you and says, "Sounds like some sort of ritual."
I agree. We're gonna have to keep looking around and see, can we move any more of the debris away to clear it out anymore at all, to give a little
The door that you have the riddle on, it's completely free enough of debris that you could open it if it were openable. The other doors, they either have blockage and or are broken so that they're not somewhere you could travel through even if you could get to the door. This appears, without months of more work, it appears that there's no other options besides this.
Okay. Sorry, I'm looking through to see if I can do anything on here, if there's anything. And there's no seams, no nothing. We can't pry it open. We can't bust it open. I mean...
No. The workers have explained to you that they have tried everything they could, short of blasting, and no such luck so far. It would seem that, based on what you kind of detected, elves are known to have doors that are opened by a phrase or a saying, and it would appear that this riddle's answer would probably be the key to open it.
Okay, so it's talking about a lone wolf. And when she's new, she can't be seen at all. So I say to my companion here, and explain to him that usually these are riddles, they have to do something with a phrase. Can he search any of his memory to see if he can think of anything that would go along with this, or any maybe old lore that would have to do with this?
Seems that it has to do something with night. I don't know what it would mean by that. Something that's
the moon.
As you say, the moon in common, it kind of makes sense. But the door doesn't budge or anything. Perdix kind of looks to you and says, "Huh. Make an intelligence check."
"17.
It's written in Elvish.
What is the word for moon in Elvish?
You speak Elvish or no?
I do not. I was asking my compatriot since he seems to know it.
Okay. He says the word for the moon, Stasia, and as he says it, the door opens, revealing a 10-foot wide hallway that leads into the ruins beneath.
I give him a smile and wipe my nose and say, "There we go."
He gives you the undaunted form of a smile. He, just so you know, looks like this. Hold on. This is what he looks like.
Nice. I'm gonna treat him literally just like he's a human.
Okay. He gives you kind of a weird, undaunted smile and kind of reaches into his pouch and pulls out a strange stone, which you would know is a sunstone. He shakes it until it starts to activate, raises it up with one hand, and he has a sword on his back, which he keeps his other hand on the hilt of. And he starts to walk in.
Let's continue.
Okay. You enter into. One second. You enter into a larger chamber. It looks like it has about 10-foot high ceiling. The ceiling above you appears to be unworked, and based on your trafficking down this path, you're no longer under the complex. You're under probably some other place. Go ahead and make a perception check.
21.
You're pretty sure that you're directly underneath where your camp is located, where you actually sleep for the night. But some dozens of feet, possibly up to 50. And what you see before you as your sight engages is a 10-foot high ceiling, plain worked stone for the ground. There appear to be two alcoves, one to the left and one to the right, and you can hear a very faint sound of water dripping beneath you. Up ahead, you see that there are two capstans set into the floor on top of stone diases, and in the center of the room, carved into the stone in a circle, are these strange circle symbols. Can you see anything?
No, sir. They don't show anything on the stream either.
It's black now. Okay, hold on. Let's see. 1 second. That's my mistake. And you have dark vision 60 feet, correct? Yeah, gnomes have dark vision.
Yeah. There we go.
Okay, so like I said, you see the two capstans and the strange markings on the floor and the two pits off to the side. Kind of looking over the edges there, even not leaning close up to it, but you can see that there's about a 10-foot drop or so, and a little bit of water on the ground beneath, and strange looking grate on either side. Other than that, this room is a dead end.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and move up. And can I go ahead and move my character? Is that cool?
Yeah, go ahead.
Move up and look at the middle, saying that this seems to be the phase of the moon. Again, with the moon rhetoric, who else seems to be into this?
Perdix kind of nods his head and says, "The goddess of the moon for the elves is Stasia, the name that was used to open this gate." He nods his head a bit more. Interesting.
I'm going to go ahead and move to the circle and check for, see if there's any magical components to it, or check for...
Yeah, you're looking over the markings on the floor, and they just appear to be kind of carved into the stone. Even where the stones kind of meet, it looks like someone, once they've laid the floor out, carved the symbols in afterwards. And you can see that it goes through the moon cycle, starting on the left side at the full moon, cycling over to the new moon, and all the way again back to the full moon.
And I look at these things besides, it looks like they can turn.
They do look like they can be turned, correct.
I'm going to go ahead and turn one.
Okay. The second you start turning the one, it's kind of moves its own of its own accord after the first pull, and sets a quarter turn after where you pushed it. The second that happens, the wall behind you, rather the doorway behind you, becomes a wall as the floor or the ceiling drops out in a large sheet straight down, shutting the door behind you. 1 second here. The next thing you hear is the sound of dripping water. There's no longer the sound of dripping water, but instead the sound of gushing water as the beneath you.
Well then, that's not really what we wanted. Let's go ahead and look and see what else we can do to get out a different way. Always forward.
Start rushing out.
I'm
And
gonna go ahead and
go ahead.
try to turn the other one.
Okay. The second you do, it sounds like nothing changes, but it basically, once you kind of get it past a certain point, it starts to rotate of its own accord and goes about a quarter turn and then stops, like it's sliding and locking into a position.
Can I turn it back?
You attempt to go ahead and make a strength check, or athletics if you have it. Yeah, you and are trying to pull it, and nothing's happening.
Well, get to it, man. Help. Don't just stand there.
He says, "Which one? What should I do?"
Well, there's two, so why don't you get on that one and I'll get on this one, and we'll try turning them at the same time. Maybe.
Are we turning them? Which way are we turning them?
Well, it seems they only want to go clockwise, so we might as well continue that way.
Okay. He pushes his clockwise. The second he does, the water fills very fast beneath, and then starts to kind of just come up into visual line sight. Bear with you. Seems that in a couple of moments it'll probably start spilling out onto the stone over the lip there. Do you push yours?
Well, we meant to push them at the same time.
Okay, yeah, then yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Okay, and I didn't see anything else happen on mine? No feeling?
It turned once and it clicked after going a quarter turn, correct?
Okay, I'm going to push it again, and then one more time after if nothing happens.
And you're telling him to push as well?
No, for right now I'm telling him to hold.
Okay, he holds, and then you push. The second you push, hold on, it goes into its next position, but then everything for you goes completely black. 1 second.
That was not what we wanted.
Go ahead and make an Arcana check, if you have it.
815.
You're pretty sure that turning it activated a spell trigger and cast a spell that causes darkness, not you are out of sight. You can still hear the rushing of water, and it's rushing quite quickly, and make a perception check too for me while you're at it.
An 8.
Your estimation is that it's going to fill very quickly. You probably won't have too long to pass that point. But then you said you were pushing it again. Do you still go with that path, even though it did this?
No, I'm gonna. Well, I ask him and see if he can turn it backwards with his strength. I'm gonna go help him as well.
Okay. Make a perception.
I can
make a perception.
over.
Make a perception check.
An 8.
Okay, let's go ahead and do this random.
There.
Okay. You kind of feel out where you're going and are able to make it over to him and kind of breach the darkness, luckily. Hold on a second here. Sorry, it didn't appear on the board. Cloud of darkness. You get out and can see him, and he's still holding on to it, and he says, "Where did you? What happened?" What happened? I do not
When I-
understand.
When I turned it the next click over, there was a speller. It looks like darkness that you can see went off.
What do
So
what do you suggest? He says
I
as
suggest we try to stop this water. So let's try to turn this off.
okay, the water starts to spill out over the lip.
You're strong, man. Do
About
it.
about an inch layer covers the floor now. And he grabs it. And you said, "Pull it back."
Yeah, we got to try to stop this water.
He goes and tries and heaves, and you start hearing creaking, but it doesn't seem to be coming from the capstan. It seems to be coming from the Undaunted.
Don't break yourself, man. Well, this doesn't seem to be working, and if we turn it, seems water comes out faster. Then I guess we're going to have to try to get to the other one and turn it and hope for the best, I guess.
Okay. He says, "Do you want me to turn this one?" Seems when we turn both, it gets worse.
Yeah, don't turn both. Let's just turn the other one and see if
Well,
it's better.
go find it. He shrugs. It's completely pitch black in that
I'm
mall.
gonna try to. I'm gonna try to feel my way, get down on the floor, and kind of feel over,
Okay.
feel the moon, and kind of go across as best I can.
Make a perception
Until-
check with advantage. Okay.
16.
By the time you get there, it's raised another 6 inches, and you kind of get up and kind of feel your way to it, and you now have a hold of it. And then you push it.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn it.
Okay. With your perception check as well, you know that you turn this thing full circle, and it clicks into place again. Nothing happens. Water's still streaming at the same pace it was. It doesn't go any faster. It's now about 6 inches off the snow. What do you do?
Nothing seemed to. I'm gonna yell back to my partner. Nothing seemed to happen. I've turned it a full circle already. I mean, and from memory, these are the only two things in here.
Yeah. Should I turn mine? What are we doing?
Go ahead and turn yours. I guess we can't get any worse. Might as well jump in the deep end.
You hear him turn it, and the same boom sound you heard when the cloud of darkness appeared over you manifests off over where he came from. He says, "I can't see anything."
Keep turning.
Hold on a second. You hear splashing sounds. It sounds like something is entering into the water from above. Make a perception check.
A 6.
You don't know what they are, but you know they're close. All right. At least to him. Okay. Let's see. All right. Do you want him to push it again?
Might as well. Go ahead.
You yell to him, "Push it again!" And the water's up to about 10 inches now. But you don't hear any reply from him. Instead, you hear a, "Oh! Ah!" and then a splash.
Ugh. And the water's still rushing in, still coming in.
It's probably about 1.5 feet now by the time you said that.
Okay, I'm going to try to work my way back over to the other one and try to turn it again.
Make a perception check with advantage. As you're going through the same route, I'm sure, with your feet, though, this time. Okay.
22.
You make your way back to it, but once you get there, you start hearing the water kind of threshing as if something's moving around in it. And then you feel something serpentine brush up against your arm. You've got the thing in your hand. What do you do immediately once you do have it?
I'm going to spin it as hard as I can.
Spin it one more routine, and then you hear
Yes.
just a click, and you see, or you see nothing. You're in pitch blackness, but you hear the water stop kind of moving. You stop hearing the loud sound as the water was being pushed out, and then you hear two loud, like, sounds of stone kind of moving. It sounds like two passageways are being opened, one from where you know or approximate you came from, and one from the absolute opposite side of the room. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Bear with me here. Do me a favor and roll initiative.
19.
Okay. All right. So you felt something serpentine brush up against you. You aren't sure what it is, but you're pretty sure based on what you're hearing now and its quieted kind of state, it sounds like there might be 2 or 3 of them.
Okay. And is it grabbing me still? You said it.
Oh, it didn't grab you. It just brushed against you.
Okay. I know that I'm going to try to work back, since I heard the door open, I'm going to try to feel to the other side of the wheel without turning it, and then walk straight back towards the door to see if I can make my way out of the circle of darkness.
Okay. So your speed normally, base land speed, is 25. But because you're in about a foot and a half of water, you're going to be moving at difficult terrain. And yeah, you can move that direction. You'll be able to make it. Hold on a second.
Should be right there.
You feel around for what you think would be a wall, but you don't feel anything. As you kind of peek your head out, you can see that there's the door.
Okay. But I was able to make my way out to where I'm at least able to somewhat see again.
See everything that's ahead of you, nothing behind you.
Okay. I heard my partner splash and go down.
That's what you think happened, yeah.
Is there any way to dispel this? I don't have anything on my stuff to dispel magic.
Hold on a second. So you hear a serpent kind of snake in behind you, and you feel it kind of brush up against you and kind of blindly try to bite at you, or not so much blindly bite at you. One second. All right, so you feel it hit your leg, and it bites into you. Make me a Constitution saving throw.
A 4.
Ouch. Okay.
That is also a critical fail, by the way. That's a 1.
I know, it doesn't do anything different.
Okay.
So you take 1 point of piercing damage. You take 3 points of poison damage.
Okay.
And you feel that there is a snake kind of against you, directly against you in the water. That was its turn. It will go to yours.
With knowing that he's right below me, I'm going to take out my dagger and try to stab down at him.
Okay. I'll go ahead and make an attack with disadvantage.
11.
Okay. That will miss. You kind of hear it splash about the water and move aside and get away from you. It seems to kind of be able to kind of keep away from your stab. You hear it kind of hiss at you as well. Anything else you want to do on your turn?
I'm going to try to move down more to where I can, 1, not let them get behind me, and 2, be able to see a little better.
Okay. Smart. As you kind of do that, you hear one kind of move towards you, and it seems to kind of pop its head out of the darkness. But just as it's about to like lunge at you, you see this edge of a black blade come out of the darkness and kind of hit into it. Hold on a second. Bear with me. My computer's lagging all of a sudden. Really wish it wasn't lagging. Let's see. Sorry. Okay, so that'll hit. The snake gets cleaved in 2, so the head kind of flops out at you, but it looks like the sword split it in half. Then
it is about time. We do not have time for you dilly-dallying around. Help me.
You then hear a snap of a snake on the other side. and you then see the hand and the sword kind of fall in the same direction. The sword splashes out of his hand, and you see like a good portion of Perdix laying outside of the darkness, but some of it's still laying inside of it.
Oh, I gotta do everything.
Okay. It seems like you've got him out of harm's way. I guess he kind of darted out of harm's way, but it's not your turn. The snake that's currently adjacent to you is no longer alive, and there appears to be at least one more, possibly more, directly north of you.
Okay, with Magic Missile, I have to actually see
it.
Right. So I'm going to hold Magic Missile until I see one of them, and then fire Magic Missile at their face.
Okay, hold on a second. You bear with me. Okay. All right. Just bear with me here. Sorry. Okay, that's fine. So the one of the snakes popped out. The reaction, Magic Missile. You see the 3 bolts quickly dart into it and send it flying back. You then hear the water kind of thresh, and then you see the 3rd serpent, which you have yet to have seen any sign of, appear just underneath you and kind of bite at you. And my computer's lagging, and I apologize. Bear with me here. Sorry, I had to refresh. Let's see. Okay. Sorry, what's your armor class again?
A whopping 10.
Yeah, that'll hit. Make a Constitution saving throw.
A 14.
Good. So you'll take 1 piercing damage, and you'll take 3 poison damage as you take half instead of full. Okay.
Oh, hurting.
Yeah, so it's right on the other side of the darkness. You're pretty sure that it is able to see beyond the... hold on a second here. There's also a dead one that's kind of magic missiled. It's been knocked away, but just so I have it on the board for my memory's sake. This one is directly on you, and it's just beyond the darkness. You can't see it, but you know it's there. What would you like to do? It's your turn.
Since I'm hurting, I know it's going to be coming. I'm going to do the same thing. Magic Missile prepare with the dodge if I need to, and as soon as I see movement, pop it.
Okay, well, Magic Missile prepare. You can't dodge as well. It pops out. You cast Magic Missile, hit it square. It flies off, ricocheting off the wall as well, and dies. Okay.
Okay.
You can see now that's it's been a turn, 2 turns. Let's see here. Bulwark looks like he's currently in the dying state, but he auto-stabilized, or he stabilized.
Okay, I'm going to try to help him and get him up and going. And
he weighs 5 times as much as you, and...
I mean, I'm going to be there for him. I'm waiting for the darkness to disperse.
Perfectly okay. All right, so after about a minute or so, the darkness does disperse, and you see that the water is substantially, going down. After a fashion, the water, it's now just residual. It's no longer like full on. It's kind of gone down back into the pits, and you can see across the way that the opposite side has opened up.
Okay. Does he look like he's going to be getting up anytime soon?
No. He looks like he's unconscious and will probably be down for about an hour.
All right, my friend. You stay here. I'm going to go find some more stuff.
As you kind of say that, you kind of look to his belt pouch, and you can see that he has 2 healing potions set on his belt.
I'm going to take that. I'm going to drink one of them.
Okay. So roll 2d4, add 2. Give me another d4.
Did it roll one of them?
Rolled 1, yeah. So
Okay.
6 plus 2 is 8. You get 8 hit points back. And then the other one?
I'm full now. I'm going to hold on to it, though. I'm going to put it in my pouch and hold on to it.
You're not going to put it down his throat?
Oh, right. Yes, that's a good idea. Let's do that instead.
Okay.
I'm a star.
Roll 2d4 and add 2. Wow. Okay. So he gets 7 hit points back. He kind of gets up, groggy, and you can see that there's strange kind of green ichor kind of dripping from his underwooden frame. Undaunted, even though they're technically constructs or considered living constructs, they're not immune to poisons and stuff like that. It does look like he's suffered the effects, and he has a bit of blood kind of leaking from him as well. His lifeblood, it's kind of more of a darkish red color, but it's similar. He says to you, "Are we continuing onward, or should we head back?"
Of course we're continuing onward. There's treasure to be found. Come, my friend. We have much to do.
Okay. He heads on with you.
I'm going to head to the door, see what I can see.
Passageway. Okay, go back to the theater. You go inside. It's a long passageway, but this one kind of goes down a bit, downwards. And then once it gets down to an end point, you see that you've entered into what appears to be a small treasure chamber. And the reason why you assume it's a treasure chamber is because it's covered with treasure. There is a pedestal in the center of the room made of stone, similar in structure to the capstans that you just dealt with, but obviously not a capstan. Sitting on top of the pedestal is an urn, which you assume would be kind of a funerary. If someone were to be cremated, the remains would be put in such an urn. It looks like there is about just a small chest set near it, set near the urn, like on the ground near it. On top of the pedestal as well as a small stone. Looks like a strange, just flat stone. There's a tapestry on the back wall of a large dragon kind of flying up towards the moon. It appears to be made of elvish silk. It appears to be in quite good condition. There's also a setting in an alcove to your left, a statue. The statue appears to have been set there after everything else had been placed, and it looks like it is a statue, platinum with amber kind of settings, specifically the eyes and the claws, but it appears to be a platinum statue of a jackal.
What do you make of this?
You kind of walk over to the jackal statue and are looking at it with Perdix, and Perdix looks to it and says, "Huh. The elves set the traps, but it would appear that the Vazriel got past them as we did, and instead of taking the things in honor, they left just a memento of their own. This is not elvish make," he says.
No, of course not. Oh. Why wouldn't they take any of the treasure, though? Why wouldn't they take of any of the things? They just left something.
Well, We know so far that the Vazriel were about heritage and honor. The Parnak people stem from there, and they respected the elves. They respect the elves as well. Um, I presume that is it. It's simply a respect for um, what was kept safe. They even reset the traps, which is strange.
Hmm. Well, um, I guess we'll do some looking around. I definitely wouldn't touch anything yet, but let's do some closer inspection of some things. See if there's anywhere else that we can move on to, or if there's anything that looks interesting that might be a definite good addition to any of the schools.
I follow your lead, Master Dib's best.
All right. I start looking around. You said this is basically an inn to where there's like an inn chamber. There's not
Yeah,
like another door. It looks like.
yeah. It looks like a
Um,
termination of the rep. And again, it's about 10 foot by 10 foot. In the center of the room is a pedestal. On top of that pedestal is an urn and a flat stone square um, with a mark on it. At the foot of the pedestal is a chest. Um, Looks like it's probably containing coin or other treasure. And then there is the tapestry on the back wall of the dragon flying up to the moon, and the statue that the Vazriel left in the small alcove. The
I-
alcove also looks like it was added after.
I'd like to go look at the tapestry. Kind of check around it. Check it out a little closer.
Okay, so you would see that it is a rampant red dragon flying skyward, kind of lifting off the ground, and directly above it is the crescent moon. Um, Make a religion check.
22.
Really good. So the crescent moon in shape here is not a real to life crescent moon, as crescent moons are sideways. This one is kind of on its back, so the crescent is kind of pointing itself upwards. And in the gap of the crescent is a single star. You would recognize this as the symbol of Stasia, the goddess of the moon. You're not sure what the dragon means, but you do know that in older lore, especially Elvish lore, about the War of Sword and Serpent. The red dragon typically represented Ashmedea, who was the matron of red dragons that was defeated by Averiu, now represented as a god in some traditions, and just as a saint by the elves. Averiu lunged at the dragon and leaped an insane distance and pierced the dragon's heart, and ripped it out. It said that the heart was taken somewhere, and the dragon, according to some religious traditions, because you got an insanely high thing there on that roll, Ashmedea is still worshipped by the worshippers of the Shedden. She is seen as a demon princess. Ashmedea is said to have killed the demon prince of greed and then put that demon prince inside its own chest so that it could continue to live, using the demon as its heart.
I think the easiest thing to do would be to go back up and rest for a while and get a group to come down and possibly help that we can oversee to make sure that nothing were to walk away as well.
He nods, of course. Of course. You guys start kind of getting what you can. The more important things that can be kind of taken up by you, the statue, the urn, and you kind of look to this rune and you see that it's got an elvish inscription on it. But it doesn't seem to be a word, but so much a rune. Go ahead and just make an intelligence arcana check.
Normal would be a 12.
Okay. You're not sure, but it does have something to do with dragon, and you think the other word might be lance, or it might be stab, or pierce. You're not sure what the word here is. This rune is something about dragons and something to do with lancing them.
Could I put it together with the story then? I mean,
It does fall in line with that story as well, but this appears to be a rune stone that you're sitting on, of some importance.
Well then, we will definitely have to take a closer look at this when we have a moment.
Okay. You and Perdix take the finer things besides the chest and the tapestry, which are a bit heavier to take, back up to the top, sending the excavators in, letting them know that it has been secured, and they go down and come back up with the chest. Using precise tools and mechanisms, one of the excavators, who is quite skilled in such tools, you're pretty sure that he was found by the association on the streets of Rostagar. He goes over the box and
Can he not get it open? Does he have trouble getting it open? Does it like jam at all?
why?
I think that I could help.
Okay, if you go over to help and assist him, which has probably happened before, you realize that there's a trap on it. It appears to be a needle trap, quite old, and the poison on it might still be, lingering. But you basically disarm that while he unlocks the thing.
Okay. So what I do is I point in a safe direction, and then I feel around on it with my fist, and I hit it and make it go off in a safe direction. Can I do that?
Yeah. So you kind of just, hey, hit it, and it it fires the dart off in an idle direction.
And as soon as it does it, I go.
And he unlocks it. Inside, you find 300 gold pieces. The gold pieces are of the Gilder stamp of long ago. They do appear to be far before the formation of the Empire Parnak. So they are in representation of Elvish lords of the old Telemeric societies and Tulache. So old coins. The runestone, the statue, and the urn. They inspect the urn. The urn appears to have ashes in it. Appears to be the remains of someone. And that's it. The tapestry they roll up and they basically seal it inside of a wooden tube that they fashion for transportation back to the museum. They ask you, do you want to retain any of these artifacts, or do you want to send them all back? Perdix kind of looks to the stone and says,
Yeah.
There's possibly more about that might be investigated, but the statue appears to be mundane, and so does the tapestry, and we've learned what we could from it. The urn, I dare not travel around with the ashes of a person, he says.
No, we don't want to do that. We need to have that laid to rest and put where it's supposed to be in a secure place. But the stone, I do agree, we need to keep.
One of the lads, the excavators, kind of walks over to you and he says, "My Lord Dimsbest, I heard that there was a runestone in there."
We did come across one, yes. It will definitely need some more looking at, though.
Well, just to let you know, I'm from the town of Squallow, just north of here. It's where we get our supplies from in the supply train. And the priest there, his name's Rignar Whitebeard. He's a master of old runes. He might be able to help.
Oh, well, thank you so much for the advice. We will head that way and see if we can pick this man's mind.
And you know his name, the boy is named Perrin. Just a young, basically lackey. He's very fine with a brush and cleaning off like bits and parts. He hasn't damaged anything in the site that he's worked on, which is good. Everything has been maintained. But yeah, as you see Perdix kind of limp off, he stops and he turns and looks back to you and he says, "It's less than half a day's travel. If you and I head that way, we could probably go talk to that cleric he mentioned."
Absolutely. I think that's definitely the way we would go. As he goes, he casts prestidigitation on himself to get the dust and stuff off him to make him look nice again.
Very good. And you see Perdix kind of head back to his tent and camp into it. You'd also see that there are guardsmen that have been placed here, so leaving the excavators alone, if you were to leave the site, they wouldn't be undefended.
Okay, good. I make sure everything looks okay, and then we pack up and head to the priest.
Perfect.
Or cleric.
So
Sorry.
you head to the town of Squallow, and we will pick up with you arriving at the town of Squallow on the beginning of the first session. You'll be arriving in the morning, as you left pretty early, close to dawn. You guys are early risers. That said, do you have any questions for me before we kill the stream?
Nope, I think it's pretty good.
All right, perfect. Also note that if you wanted to retain any of the coin that was found for personal funds, the excavation team would not argue. So,
okay, yeah, we'll take a small amount, not a lot. He doesn't. He's not real worried about getting paid.
Just need a number.
Like in gold pieces.
Yep. How much of the 300 did you take?
Let's say 60.
Okay, put that on your character sheet and notate it. Okay, cool deal. And I will put the rest in party treasury, as it is technically a part of your group, in the excavation site. Okay, I will see you next week, sir, and thanks everyone for watching, and have a good night.
Thank you, sir.